Hello and welcome to The Measure of Whisky, where we discuss all things Scotch whisky. This week we are going to look at glassware. What is the best glass to drink whisky from?
Friday and the race is on. The city's gonna be there.
So it would be fair to say that drinking Scotch whisky is always a personal preference, and it's also a personal preference when it comes to the glassware that you use when you are drinking Scotch. However, the reason for drinking the Scotch is going to have an impact on the type of glass that you should be using. For example, are you simply out in a social environment drinking a whisky and not really caring too much what's inside your glass? Or are you at a tasting event where it's really important that you experience every element of the dram? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a range of different glasses. We're going to look at the pros and the cons of each glass, and also I am going to tell you what my favourite glass is to drink whisky from. First up, the pint glass. That looks utterly horrendous, to be perfectly honest with you. Don't ever drink whisky from a pint glass. You have to be having one of the worst days of all time, or perhaps the best day of all time, but no, let's leave the pint glass out of this. Oh. Next on the list, cocktail glass. No, absolutely not. Keep it for the espresso martinis, although that is a very attractive looking cocktail glass. It doesn't work in any facet of whisky drinking, no. Okay, next up, the tumbler. Okay, now we're getting into something that makes a bit more sense. That is a hell of a dram in there. Basics of a tumbler. There's tons of different shapes, sizes of tumblers that you can get. This was actually from the Dalmore. I don't know if you guys can see that. That came as part of a gift pack. So these are great. They feel good in the hand. They're heavy. They've got a nice thick base to it. Really good for casual drinking, I would suggest. The not so good things about this style of tumbler, it has a very wide mouth at the top, almost the same, actually probably even a little bit more than the base. And if you are hoping to really experience every facet of this dram, then you need to have a smaller mouth at the top, because what happens here, if you're going to nose the whiskey, you certainly still get a smell of the whiskey, but a lot of the vapours just dissipate out to the side, so it's not concentrated enough. Great glass, great for a social occasion. For a tasting purpose, not so great. Shot glass. That is a very attractive looking shot glass. However, no, don't shoot your whiskey. You know, some sort of cowboy. Well, certainly don't shoot a single malt Scotch whisky. That is a no-no. This is going to end badly, isn't it? Okay, next on the list, the quintessential whisky glass, the Glencairn. Probably the most recognisable whisky glass, especially in the Scotch world, out of any of the other glassware that we're going to look at tonight. Lovely little thick piece of glass at the bottom, nice to grip, nice to hold on to. It's got a nice fat base to it here, and it's got a small mouth. And what that does is it concentrates the vapours and the aromas, so when you're nosing, fantastic. You can really get into there and you can really decipher the different types of smells and aromas that are coming out of the glass. Now, there is one small problem that some people suggest is an issue with a Glencairn glass. Personally, not for me, but a lot of people suggest that because your fingers do touch the base of the glass, there's heat transfer into the dram, and that can have somewhat of an impact on the overall nosing and the overall taste of the dram. It's just such a great glass for drinking whiskey out of. Alright, next on the list we have the rocks glass. Super heavy, super sturdy. They look fantastic. I do love these glasses. Are they any good for drinking whiskey out of? Well, yes and no. These are great, again, for a social occasion. If you're out with friends and perhaps you're at a bar, you just want a really solid glass to hold on to. You're not too concerned of exactly what's inside your glass, then this is fantastic. Also, really great if you put ice in your whiskey. which I strongly suggest you don't. However, great for putting some ice in there. You can get those huge lumps of ice as well. Brilliant for things like old fashions, right? These glasses are excellent for that type of thing. The downside, of course, is, as you've probably already guessed, look at the size of the mouth on it. It's enormous. Therefore, if you're nosing and you're tasting for experience, you really don't get much. It just fires out to the side, so it's hard to really distinguish between those different nosing compounds. But overall, really nice glass. Okay, there is a glass that has to get some special mention here. It's been making some waves recently in the world of whiskey. It's called a Norland glass. I don't have one here with me, but I have drank from a Norland glass. There has been a little bit of theory applied to this glass. Basically, it's a double-walled, similar to a tumbler, and the purpose of the double walling is that there's no heat transfer from your hand into the dram itself. When I drank from a Norland glass, I did like it. It felt nice in the hand. Now, I can't guarantee that it was a legitimate Norland glass. It may have been a knockoff because at the top, around the mouth of the glass, it felt really thick and it didn't feel great on the mouth. But other than that, it was good. And it's concentrated at the top as well, so you can get those, you know, nosing experiences the same you would do from a Glencairn. But I had to mention that just to make sure that you're all aware that it is out there and it's worth considering. Okay, last on our list, the Tulip glass. It has wide base, it has narrow mouth, fantastic for getting your nose in there. It is an excellent glass with regards to heat transfer because it's got the stem on it, so my hands don't need to touch any of the liquid either. I really like this glass. It has quite a level of sophistication that goes with it. Pompous twat, you may say, I don't know, but I kind of like holding this and I like drinking whiskey from it. I really think it's just a fantastic glass. It feels nice in the hands, looks great. You're always going to be able to see exactly what's in it. It's great for swirling as well. Great for nosing. All round awesome whiskey glass. Alright, so I did say that I was going to give you my favourite glass to drink whiskey from. Out of everything we've looked at and spoken about today, it's always going to be the Glencairn for me. I just love this. I love the tradition of it. I love the feel of it. It's just such a quintessential whiskey drinking glass. Everybody knows what you've got in here when you pull out one of these. It's great for the nosing experience, really, really great for the tasting experience, and overall it's just my favourite. I love it. Although the Tulip glass as well would be a close second for me. I really enjoy holding the stem on that one, feels really nice too. But as I mentioned earlier, it's really dependent on what's your purpose. Are you socialising with friends and don't really care what's in your glass, or are you at a tasting experience where you really want to get into the nitty gritty of the dram? Either way, drink however you prefer. Just don't drink it out of a pint glass.
On. This city's gonna be a